Hello everybody, my name is James, hope you're doing well and welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be talking about a new verdict on George Russell as well as key updates on Ferrari. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more Formula 1 content. Also make sure to follow me on Instagram and X at James's Pit Lane. I'll leave links in the description, but let's jump straight into the video. So let's start with Ferrari, and well, first of all, they're set to run with a unique innovation that they ran once during Bahrain testing. Basically, when the rear wing opened on the start-finish straight, the rear flap turned upside down. Basically, beforehand it opened in a similar way to DRS, however, this was very different with it turning 180 degrees upside down. So yeah, unique from Ferrari, but it was only ran once on a Thursday morning and it wasn't seen since. And the rear wing design also did not make an appearance at the Melbourne season opener. However, Ferrari has brought the upside down rear wing to this weekend Shanghai sprint event and will test it during the first and only practice session of the weekend on Friday, and then the team will make a decision on whether it stays on the car for sprint qualifying later that day. Now, it's been reported that this rear wing design can help with straight line speed, and well, with that long back straight in Shanghai, it could be an ideal place to introduce this upside down rear wing. And Lewis Hamilton praised Ferrari for accelerating the development of the wing as its race weekend debut was earlier than initially planned, with him saying, as quoted by the race, "I'm so grateful for the team to work because it was actually supposed to be later down the line and they worked really hard to develop it and get it brought here." So that for me is just, it's great to see that the team are fighting, the team are pushing and chasing and really working overtime back at the factory to be able to bring the upgrades. That's the name of the game. Last year, I didn't get to see the team's full potential in that mode because we were so focused on this year's car. But let's move on to Formula 1 starts, and as we know, they are a lot harder in 2026. Basically, with the removal of the MGU-H, it takes longer to spin up the turbo. And while there's been a variance in speeds in which drivers get off the line, and in addition to this, multiple drivers complained of the battery being drained on the formation lap before they went to start the Grand Prix. Now, Mercedes driver and Grand Prix Drivers Association director George Russell pointed to one flaw in the rules likely to be a factor in at least some of the start issues, with Russell saying, as quoted by the race, "I think there was an error that caught a lot of teams out, which was the harvest limit on the formation lap. So a very quirky rule. I don't know if you guys know this or not. Every lap there's a harvest limit. The drivers who started in the first half of the grid, who were beyond the timing line, they were already within that lap. So when you did your formation lap start, you're spending your battery and you're charging your battery, which goes towards your harvest limit. The drivers at the back, when they did their formation lap start, they then launch away. They cross the start finish line and then it resets because they're effectively on the next lap. So from what we did in the practice starts, we did the launch before this line and it reset on the race start. Started from pole, I went on the throttle, I charged the battery, but it took like 50% of my harvest limit of that lap. So when I got halfway around the track, I could no longer charge the battery. I had no power to do proper burnouts." Now, one team that is really on top of starts is Ferrari. I mean, with that smaller turbo, it's taking less time to spin up at the start and they're getting a really good launch. I mean, Charles Leclerc went from P4 to P1 in Melbourne and Hamilton went from P7 to P3. And Russell hinted that Ferrari was against the FIA adjusting this rule, with him saying, as quoted by the race, "The FIA were looking to potentially adjust that, but as you can imagine, some teams who were making good starts didn't want it, which I think is just a bit silly, but I'm not overly concerned, but it's definitely a challenge." Now, the race say with the concession over extending the start procedure by 5 seconds for the Australian Grand Prix, a move Ferrari tried to block, having already been given, the race understands Ferrari's stance is that no further changes should be made to further accommodate teams whose car designs are not optimised for the current rule sets. While no specific change to the rules has been put forward yet, Ferrari believes that the focus now should be on the teams to adapt their procedures to the rules, which have been set in stone for a while and which Ferrari designed its power unit around. One source suggested that if drivers have safety concerns with the way things are now, then they have the option to start from the pit lane. Now, in terms of George Russell, he went on to win the Australian Grand Prix, ended up dominating at the end. Yes, he lost the lead at the start, but he managed to get it back on strategy following a great battle with Charles Leclerc and then just ended up dominating the Grand Prix, won by multiple seconds. Now, following the Australian Grand Prix, Russell's car was subject to more intense checks, and now a verdict has been issued ahead of the Chinese Grand Prix this weekend. Basically, the technical delegate report said after the race in Melbourne, car number 63 was randomly chosen among the top 10 cars for more extensive physical inspections. The front wing adjuster system components were reviewed for compliance with Article C3.10 and C8 of the regulations and were found to be compliant. So yeah, Russell's car was fine following the Australian Grand Prix. But that's going to be the video from me today. Thank you ever so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe for more videos, and until the next one, take care.